All members of this Assembly appreciate the importance of maintaining our closely knit and wonderfully diverse community in the Territory. We're all aware that the Territory is a shining example of Australian multiculturalism done well. It's one of the reasons I chose to settle and raise my family here, and I love us for it. A worthwhile mention here is a community organisation that is rapidly growing in the NT, known as the Northern Territory Momineen. I first met them back in October 2021 while I was grocery shopping with my daughter Erin, who I believe is watching at home. Hello Erin. In Oasis Shopping Centre in Palmerston. The team were running a COVID-19 vaccine awareness kiosk and we stopped for a chat. This was when the NT were lagging the rest of the nation in vaccine uptake, and these guys were out there handing out information to Territorians, encouraging them to vaccinate as soon as possible and answering anybody's questions. And it's a community organisation that's constituted mainly by Shia Muslim Territorians. Just for a bit of background, Shia Islam is the second largest branch of Islam with more than 200 million followers globally. It's important to note that Shia Muslims, like many dispersed groups who find themselves a minority, have been the victims of persecution but thankfully enjoy the tolerance and hospitality of Australia, especially when they're calling the NT home and the numbers growing. From 2011 to 2015, a handful of the predominantly Arabic-speaking Shia held community events led by Dr. Hassan Rakeen, an educationist from CDU. From 2016 onwards, several Shia Muslim professionals migrated to the NT after the IMPEX economic boom, and they joined hands formalising the community's affairs into the NT Momineen. These individuals included Abdullah Haider, Muslim Damani and Murad Quazim. Northern Territory Momineen was incorporated on the 10th of May 2021 as a culturally and linguistically diverse non-profit community organisation and the first that exclusively represents Shia Territorians. And it's established as a charity too. They undertake steps for the preservation, propagation and practice of articles of faith, facilitate the educational, economic and social welfare of Shia Muslims, and lead to a greater understanding and cooperation amongst themselves. They propagate, instill and promote the understanding of Islamic values and undertake reasonable steps to preserve and promote greater harmony and understanding with members of other faiths and communities, while undertaking joint projects with other charitable organisations to facilitate the achievements of its objectives. They also provide Islamic marriage and divorce solemnising services to members of the community, funerals for members, and raise funds, enter contracts, arrangements, and utilise the funds for the above objectives. And they're aiming to provide these services to Australian immigrants from around the globe and have members from India, Pakistan, Iran, Afghanistan, Azerbaijan, Bahrain, East Africa, Iraq, Lebanon, Syria, and Yemen. And all members and non-members can participate in all the events and activities. They're supported in their quest for settlement in the Territory without distinction of religious, political or other affiliations. Now, the first thing a Shia Muslim family seeks after arriving in the Territory is the human connection and being able to meet and connect with like-minded groups, and they provide just the platform for this to happen. And the community's grown considerably from its humble beginnings. Currently, it has a membership of about 100 plus, which is continually increasing, from doctors, engineers, accountants, ICT professionals and teachers, support workers, taxi drivers, security officers and students, a broad cross-section of our society, with relatively new migrants and people who've been here much, much longer, including for several decades. And they're getting quite prevalent and very good at organising community events. They've done about 70 to 75 so far since their incorporation, and a worthy credit here is their female members who single-handedly organise the catering for most of these events, which I can attest to is truly exceptional. So far, some of their notable achievements have been their July blood donation events, which is coming around the corner very quickly again for 22. This is to commemorate the martyrdom of Imam Hussein, the grandson of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and is considered a noble cause among Shia Muslims. It's customary for many Shia to visit blood banks on the day of Ashura, and NTMI was among the top 25 donor organisations in the NT for the Lifeblood Challenge in 2021, and it's aiming to beat its record this year. In August, they provided assistance for interpreters to go to the refugees fleeing the Taliban offensive in Afghanistan. In October, when I bumped into them, they were running COVID vaccine awareness events. They did them at the Oasis Shopping Centre, where my office is, and they held an interfaith awareness event at CDU to support the NT government's vaccine awareness campaign, inviting several speakers, including the NT Health Executive Director. They have weekly religious and community language classes, sporting sessions and excursions, and even before incorporation, they were running community language for kids back in 2009. Again, the community's female members took the lead here and have mainly provided self-motivated volunteers to deliver this task. After incorporation, the regular sporting sessions and excursions are also being held for kids, youth and all other individuals. In April 2022, they did their iftar dinner, the meals for 1,000 underprivileged people. They joined hands with other national charities to provide meals in Pakistan for people who find it hard to make ends meet. In April, they had the establishment of the first of its kind centre for Shia Muslims in the NT. I, along with the member for Spilett, the member for Solomon, and religious leaders from across the territory were able to attend the opening, and it was an absolutely brilliant evening. This complements the centres that already exist for other branches of Islam in Darwin and Palmerston, and the organisation is currently using commercially leased premises in Winelly for the centre. The long-term availability of the designated space is pivotal for obvious financial reasons, and considering that most of NTMI's members are young migrant families in struggling phases of their lives, the community sacrifice so far has been substantial, as the availability of third-party funding sources is very limited in the NT, the plague of most community groups. And as such, they will continue to seek funding to see how they can grow, and I certainly support this. If a permanent centre can be found, more Shia Muslim community members will call the NT home and choose to stay here for the longer term, and I hope they choose Palmerston. NTMI was formed with a vision to provide these support services and make sure that we have another part of a rich tapestry of the Northern Territory culture, and it can blossom with people choosing to relocate here, hopefully from overcrowded southern states. Traditionally, these are communities that don't struggle with our climate either, they love it. The Leicester Centre is already playing a vital role in encouraging the existing Shia migrants to stay in the NT, and I hope it can continue in the long term. NTMI's vision is a bigger and better Shia community in the NT, a community that promotes values for a healthy society and always ready to hold the hands of the needy, and can reflect the nobleness, a central tenet of their religion, to the broader Australian community. They envisage it to facilitate the prevalence of peace, justice and social improvement for Muslims and non-Muslims alike. And they recently held an Eid Family Fun Day, which I believe was attended by yourself, the Honourable Speaker of the Northern Territory Legislative Assembly, Fong Lim, and are again soon running their blood bank drive for July. A truly exceptional group of Territorians. I spoke about this tonight to request that the Assembly take note of this worthy charitable organisation, which by all accounts has so far done all of this on its own. If any other members can help them, they'll greatly appreciate it. Please attend their activities, stop and say hello and engage with them, and it will be pivotal for their future sustainability. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.